Hey everyone, in this video I want to go over my 10 favorite retro anime to watch on my CRT. But first, I'd like to thank everyone for watching my previous video. I was really surprised how many people were interested in watching anime on CRTs. If you'd like more content like this, please like and subscribe. If I get enough support, it'll really help energize me to make more of it. Thank you very much. Now on to making the top 10 anime that I like to watch on my CRT.
Number 10 is Marmal Boy. Marmal Boy focuses on Miki and Marmal Boy, the cutest guy in school. After she comes back from school, she discovers that her parents got amicably divorced and marry their friend, who also got divorced, and everyone will live happily ever after together. Her stepbrother is none other than the Marmal Boy. She finds him cool at first, but quickly dislikes him. The two characters gradually get closer as the series goes on. I put this one on the list because I believe it is very underrated. I doubt many people watching this video have ever heard of it, let alone watched it.
Number 9 is Evangelion. This one might seem generic, but Evangelion is peak 90s. If you don't know what Evangelion is, it is a series about a future Earth where creatures called angels come down to invade Tokyo 3. There are also biomechanical machines called Evangelion that people use to defend Tokyo from angels. This anime focuses on some very dark psychological themes that many other anime do not get into, especially back then. I didn't fully watch this show until 2018. Back then, I only had my LCD TV to watch it on, but I love watching it on this TV. Watching this retro sci-fi on my old TV brings back memories of speculating how technology could develop. Seeing Shinji on a train in Tokyo with a Walkman makes me wonder if he was just using retro tech. I have yet to watch the entire series on my CRT yet, but I love the look of it so far.
Number 8 is Full Metal Panic. I'm not sure why, but in the mid-2000s, Full Metal was a popular title. Full Metal Alchemist was very popular, but Full Metal Panic wasn't as popular. It's ironic because Full Metal Alchemist's Japanese name is Hagane no Denkinjutsu, while Full Metal Panic's Japanese title is just Full Metal Panic. I don't remember seeing a dub of Full Metal Panic when I was younger, but it certainly exists. If you did watch this when it aired in English, please let me know down in the comments below how you watched it. Full Metal Panic is about an unusual boy named Sagara Sosuke, who is a lieutenant in the mercenary group Mithril. He is tasked with protecting Chidori, a high school girl who has knowledge about secret technology inside of her. It switches between being a rom-com anime and a fighting anime. Most people consider the romantic comedy aspect to be the best part, which may be why it didn't continue in popularity when the show focused back onto its main plot. The second season, Full Metal Panic Fumofu, is the comedic season, and it's the most popular with people I know. I'd recommend watching the first season, but if you start to get bored of it, jump onto Fumofu. It has a lot of hilarious moments, and I love the dynamics between Chidori and Sosuke. Number 7 is Dragon Ball. I will count Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z as the same, since they were both spawned out of the Dragon Ball manga. Dragon Ball begins with Goku, a small boy who meets a girl named Bulma, searching for Dragon Balls. The Dragon Balls are said to be able to grant any wish, and Bulma is the character who has the most wishes, such as getting a boyfriend. The series starts off with that lighthearted premise, but evolves into so much more with the tournament arc, big villains, and growing power levels. Although most people got into Dragon Ball because of Dragon Ball Z, I got into the franchise with the first Dragon Ball series. I remember my brother and I used to watch it all the time when it came on YTV at 8 p.m. Seeing the training arc and Goku becoming stronger interested me more than watching a Goku who was already strong. It eventually made me want to read the manga, but reading the manga in Canada was really expensive, so I couldn't afford to read it all. Number 6 is Cardcaptor Sakura. I'm not sure I want to admit this, but I really love Cardcaptors. When I was a kid, I'd secretly watch this in my room. Although I knew it was a girly anime to like, I think that the English version marketed to boys pretty well. This is apparent when you compare the openings together. The series stars a female protagonist named Sakura, who is a grade 5 elementary school student. She finds a set of cloud cards in her basement and uses the windy card to blow them away. The first season deals with her retrieving her lost cards. I'm still watching it since the second season didn't come to North America. Although I like both versions for different reasons, I definitely recommend the Japanese version since it'll be less of a shock when you transition into the second season. Number 5 is Pokemon. This may have been one of the first anime that I watched as a kid. I definitely watched this before playing the games. The show is about Ash Ketchum's adventures to become a Pokemon master. Ash has Pikachu as his first Pokemon, who was slow to warm up to, but eventually becomes his loyal friend. He also eventually meets Misty and Brock, and they become his friends on his journey. I like watching Pokemon because it is very easy for me to just throw on without having too much thought into what's going on. The show is also still very easy to access on Netflix, at least in Canada and when I was living in Japan. When I was living in Japan, I actually watched the whole series in order to learn Japanese. I'd recommend anyone who is learning Japanese to watch shows in Japanese that native Japanese children would watch. Simple shows like Pokemon can be great ways to listen to audio at native level speeds. I'm not sure if I could recommend anybody to watch it since I'm probably blinded by nostalgia when it comes to this show. It is easy enough to get your hands on some version, whether that be DVDs, VHS, or Netflix.
Number 4 is Naruto. I'm not sure if this series needs much of an introduction, but part 1 of Naruto centers on Naruto, a boy who has a demon fox sealed inside of him. He is a clumsy character that never gives up, and his dream is to become a Hokage, the strongest ninja in the village. What I liked about this show compared to Dragon Ball was the diverse cast. Well, Dragon Ball has a diverse cast too, but when you're talking about Naruto with other people were very willing to identify with many of the side characters that I just didn't see as much with Dragon Ball. The amount of relatable characters besides Naruto is what makes it great. The Chunin exams highlights them the best. I'd rank the series higher, but I got really Naruto'd out while it was still airing. I was obsessed with this series as a teen, and it came into my life during the perfect time. I began reading the manga online as it was airing until the very end. I'm actually surprised that this series is still popular amongst young people now. If you are one of those and have a CRT, I'd recommend watching the first series on one. Number 3 is School Rumble. If you want to have a good laugh, this is one of my favorite animes to watch. It had 2 protagonists, the first being Tsukamoto Tenma, a 16-year-old high school student. Tsukamoto is a very normal girl who has a crush on a very unusual boy named Karasuma. The second protagonist is Harima Kenji, a delinquent who has a crush on the very normal Tsukamoto Tenma. The series focuses on their dynamics and growing throughout high school. The series is crammed with jokes that are hilarious, and more so if you understand the Japanese cultural references. There are 3 seasons, with the 3rd season being a brief 2 episodes to close the series off. What I liked about the series is that while it is primarily a comedy, there's a sense of development with the main characters, especially Harima. I found myself cheering for him and being able to feel immersed in this wacky high school life. It was weird for me to teach in Japan and see the inspiration where this show draws from. I was introduced to this series when I was in grade 10 by my friend named Okulin. I don't know if he still remembers me, but I still remember him and this recommendation. Number 2 is YuGiOh Season 0. When people think of Yu-Gi-Oh, they often think of their childhood and the 4Kids version. If you don't know, in the West, the 4Kids version of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime had many parts of it censored, such as making the guns invisible or covering up female characters. Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0 is the series before that, and it is based off the manga. It focuses on Yugi, a small, weak boy who has no friends but loves games. He has a Millennium Puzzle, which is said to grant him any wish if he solves it. His wish is to get new friends. Once he solves it, it unlocks a dark side of him. This dark side of him plays Yami no Game, or Shadow Game in English. This series is much darker than the Duel Monster series and depicts a variety of games instead of just duel monsters. The average episode will introduce a new trend such as G-Shock watches, Tamagotchi, and so on. One popular episode was Duel Monsters, which was loosely based off the game Magic the Gathering. People called in asking if this was a real game, prompting the reboot of the series to solely focus on that particular game. I'd recommend this version if you want a more serious take on the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise. It's also fun to see all the different games that are played. I always found it weird how Yugi was called the King of Games, but the only game we saw him play was Duel Monsters. The side characters are also much more relatable in this series. Anzu is a much more interesting character, even though she will play the damsel in distress occasionally. It is also easier to watch most of the show since there aren't too many episodes to go through. Number 1 is Inuyasha. You may have guessed it if you watched the previous video, but Inuyasha was one of my favorite series growing up. It is about a junior high school girl named Higurashi Kagome, who lives in a shrine with her family. For some reason, in the English version, they state that she is a high school student, but that's not a big deal. One day she notices something mysterious in the well, and a yokai grabs her. She finds out that she has an object called the Shiko no Tama inside of her. It is said to grant the owner any wish that they desire. Many of the demons / yokai wanted to increase their power. The character she first sees is a half-demon named Inuyasha. The Shiko no Tama gets shattered and they must search across feudal Japan to carry it back. Inuyasha has a great cast of characters with reasonable motivations for each of them. I love the art style and the soundtrack of this series. There is something magical about the way everything blends together. Overall with Inuyasha, I like the beginning parts better than the later episodes. The late episodes do suffer from many shonen at the time where they are too long. If you've never watched it, then I would recommend you to check it out. So, I hope that you guys enjoyed this top 10 video, and once again, if you liked it, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Sorry about some of the weird shots. I'm still trying to get the hang of filming my CRT while I'm watching anime.